welcome to today's panel chat. We launched our book, Leadership Has No Gender, and we have three wonderful contributors from the book sitting with us today. So thank you so much, all three of you, Jasrita, Shalu, and Priti. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to be with you here. Of course, that goes without saying. I've interacted with you over the last couple of years, and I feel that at AntWalk there is some part of your personality as well. Because when we develop a platform, we take the bits and pieces from everybody in your work, and that is what AntWalk is all about. It's about learning from the people that walk, that want. So, thank you so much. It is indeed, as I said, it's a pleasure to have you here, and you all bring experiences from diverse backgrounds. Preeti, she's a true trainer. She has working through 30 plus years of experience in public affairs, advocacy, and social responsibility. As the first woman, you hold the role of public affairs professional at Reliance Industries Limited. You have been breaking barriers and championing gender equality and diversity at every step. And you're now a mentor at Reliance. You're involved in a lot of different initiatives for mental health and mentorship. So, Preeti, there is a part of you in this book, the story that you have shared. We'll talk about it later. But first of all, welcome to this talk.
His legends.
And Shalu, I've known Shalu for some time now, and it's always she's a seasoned engineer with close to 20 years of experience at American Express, and you are currently rocking as a director at American Express, and you have very good problem solving skills. You're always a person that you have to reach out to at any point of time, and it's your nature to always give that I have always felt. It's a helpful, it's a blessing for us as well, right? It's not about just building top-notch teams, but it's the delivery orientation. And it's with delivery orientation, not just in your work, but in your professional life, makes a real difference. So, welcome to a chat. And Jasrita, you are director of marketing and communication at Karkinos Healthcare. You have been in the game for some time, and you have worked in multiple healthcare big wigs. And your marketing career and now the work that you're currently doing with CEO and cancer care, making affordable to everybody, it's not just a job. I feel like you have a mission, and you have also been always very, very helpful and supportive of the idea of work. So for all the three ladies, it's a pleasure to have you. You have contributed to this book, and this book, when we started off, we truly believe that leadership has no gender. It's all about capability. It is about the ability to get things done. What does capability really mean to you, and within an organization? And why do you think it is important for a business to prioritize capability?
What is your organization? An organization is a living organism.
Mm-hmm.
It's alive, it's throbbing, but it's alive and throbbing not because of the brick and mortar, not because of the buildings, and not because of the infrastructure of the machines and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
It is alive and throbbing, and it's a living organism because of the people. And that's what capability is. The set of people that you bring in, that you hire, that you nurture, that you train, and that you give to the larger industry over a period of time. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what capability is. So at the end of the day, any big brand that we talk about, which has been there for some time,
Mm-hmm.
let's say a couple of decades, there is a certain distinctive brand that they have left behind in terms of the people and the capabilities as well. Yeah. Hiring right, but also training right, also making do with what you have, adding something more to their repertoire than what you had when they joined you, right? To me, that is capability. And that is the job of every leader. Oftentimes in organizations, we think that is the job of HR. That is the job of the CEO or the chief of staff, right? But I think quality and capability building are two areas which are the business of every leader in the organization. even if you have a one member, two member team, the moment you start having a one member, two member team, you're responsible for capability development and giving back and paying it forward.
Absolutely. No, and I was talking with Priti and Shalu earlier, where we were seeing a point where in one of our programs, a CEO of a large company said that the only competitive advantage that I can bring in today's world is having good people and giving the good people the capabilities to thrive and to perform.
So I will cite an example from which is quite close to my, failure moments, which is like the most significant failure moment that I have had. In failure and change, nothing is like permanent, but still that is a series of not a linear equation, but pretty much as a sine curve or jungle gym. So that was a failure moment when I was really, really expecting a promotion because of the great work that I did, because of the way I led the team, and somehow I reached to the point where I was, in middle of N+3 or N+4 level senior leaders. Just because the reason I was attending that conference in outskirts of Hyderabad was because I was high potential in the organization. And that's where capability to me at that point was what I can bring in on the table. But I was not really aware at that time on capability is not only individual capability, but capability of system to bring that capacity and untapped potential out of you. So in that moment, although I was very aware that I'm not going to get the promotion, but still the moment it was announced that who all got the promotion and I have not got the promotion, so it was like really ugly cries moment. Ugly cries. And it was like, lifeless water is on my whole face and I was super, super cold. In that moment, capabilities definition changed for me. And the definition came as that, okay, there is capacity in every individual. And the capability would always be directly proportional to the awareness an individual would have. And the observation the person will build around the system to really nurture that. So that's how, for me, capability is awareness plus ability.
Now, how do companies make a culture where leadership is aware about what Shalu was talking about? Capacity of people, their ability to perform, create an environment also where they can go and perform and prove themselves. How do you create a company which is based on merit? And can you share some of the things that you have done personally in your initiative over the years, that kind of champions?
I was with Tata's, then went very closely with Mr. Rapin Tata's Woods, and then in Reliance with the Amani family. So in both these cases, I've seen, that the business soul through wahan se aata hai. The light is shining. So when you join as an employee, you have certain capabilities, but then you adapt. And I worked with leaders. It was always lead by example. So automatically I became a leader, watching them. That, I have this great moral responsibility to conduct myself in a particular way, which I also consider as a capability you develop. Some you have as a person and you develop. So for me in organization, mentorship, leadership, leading by examples and setting goals. Whether you, you go through your HR right to the grassroots level, or the company policies also drive capabilities, and how do you treat the interpersonal skills. And most important capability, at least I developed and I gave forward, is communication. Because in most of organization there is no communication between the top management, leaders like us who have a big team right till the grassroots. So in both these companies, my success rate was because my communication to the management was very frequent and very clear and transparent. And just I did my own value add and passed it on. So it was all, everybody was on the same page. And one more thing from my experience I want to say, because I'm working with a lot of youngsters and I'm learning from them, especially technology. Every person, including me, comes with, certain capabilities. But it is the responsibility of the organization and the mentor can constantly upgrade. And I've seen when it doesn't happen, then it's like stagnant water. So capability is like a moving train. And a station aega, utro up, chado, you just constantly have to keep moving and constantly updating.
So, Jasrita, no, in the book, you talk about how you have tackled the male-dominated healthcare scene and you have earned the respect from your colleagues and higher ups. Can you share a little bit more about how you manage and how you went about it?
Organizations or sectors or industries which took in a lot of women at a grassroots level. How is it that we're not able to see even a fraction of that representation at the top? Healthcare was no different, and I spent a chunk of my life in healthcare, continuing to. But I come from food channels, and even in hospitality, at the entry level, behind the desk, you see a lot of women, but you do not see many women leading hotels for reaching the chain. So it was kind of intriguing as a young person. And then I entered hospitals, and I saw that the nurses, the entry level, are the patient care officers are all women. But how is it that very few reach the job? Right? So I think this question, even though you didn't articulate it in as many words as a young person working out, was always a question mark that needed answering at the back of my mind. Having said that, the first organization that I joined, which is Max Healthcare, I should say that I was lucky enough, I was fortunate enough to be able to see 3 or 4 very strong women leaders sitting on the board, sitting in the boardroom. And this is important to say because this is before the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which said that you need to have at least 2 votes. This is before that. So organizations that had put women leaders there, and from all walks of life. There was a head of quality, who was a woman. There was a head of operations, who was a woman. There was a head of physician affairs, who was a woman. So you saw and you said, okay, it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad. You can reach there. There's a path. Let's start doing backward integration to figure out how did they reach there. And so I think this is something that was fortunate in my case. How did I go about doing it is that I think there was no easy way. For me, there was no elevator that I took, right? I saw very soon that healthcare is a field where doctors and surgeons slog it out. It's a field where they slog it out. It's a very, very difficult industry to survive, and only the best and the most resolute and the most determined begin. And for me to earn the respect of them, most of them being men, elderly men, and why do I say that is because pretty much like army, there are few professions which respect age, which respect hierarchy. And healthcare is one profession where it respects hierarchy, because even as a consumer, healthcare ke consumer to hum sab hai na. You don't want to go and see a surgeon who doesn't have grey hair and who doesn't have ears behind him. You don't trust that surgeon even as a consumer, do you? Right? I mean, things are changing, but so a profession that respects age, hierarchy, levels, and how many rotations around the sun you have done, to be in that profession, to be young, not having grey hair, and not having done, those many years, was not a distinct advantage, not in that field. So I quickly figured out that the only way to do it is to be able to, whatever number of years that I had, make it work harder for me. Sit in the OPDs with the doctor, learn the lingo, go to the operating theatre, see how it is done. Spend those hours, speak that language, live a part of that life to be able to get that respect. So there was no easy way of doing it. So I learned healthcare as a non-medical person, sitting in the OPDs, going to the OTs, right? And that's over a period of time, say, there is value that she brings to the table, right? So I think you have to commit yourself to it is the way I did it. It cannot be, it's too difficult, it's not for me, oh, it's not going to happen, because nothing's going to happen in 6 months or a year. You have to commit to it.
And you've done it brilliantly. So, Preeti, you are involved in a lot of mentoring. You work with a lot of young people. You put your efforts with Now That Foundation, and now you are working with Rani. So, can you talk about your initiatives and how do you put your values, personal values, humanitarian values? And have you faced any hurdles along the way? And how have you?
I've observed great mentors and I realized that, office is a space where we are constantly thinking about performance and about competition. And that is wrong. We are not thinking about ourselves as human beings. And that's where I started thinking what I can contribute as a mentor in the space of mental health for the people who are working with me and then through their running to the community. And I realized that there's a very strong relationship between our personal life and our professional life. If we are emotionally secure and if we can take care of our family issues, we do not carry them at work. And so, the work-life balance depends a lot how we treat ourselves on mental health. We were talking, you and me, about emotional wellness. That is, personal, but it is so important because, empathy, compassion, interpersonal skills at office, how do we take pressure, how do we communicate, how do we deal with different personalities. So I said that, everything is available, in our professional life, but nobody is teaching how to be mentally healthy. What are the emotional wellness tools we need to survive? And whether we like it or not, it is like a race. Today also, whether it's for women trying to find a spot in the leadership team, or even to enter into male-dominated careers, or for even for men. Sometimes it is very difficult. They're very shy working with women. I've had cases where bosses just refused to work with me. I've had subordinates who never wanted to work with the lady. So there's a lot of taboos and there's a lot of learning which the organization need to do. So it is a part of personal development which is not happening. And I'm saying it openly. I've yet to come across an organization which takes this as part of employee KRA that you have to develop emotionally and that affects your ROI. So, Navratan, my work is different. I work since we used to sit with a lot of committees on CSR and was not happy the way this industry was going because very few were reaching at the grassroots level. So through Navratan, I started working with the women in the slums on adult education, on skill training. And then they are running to spread awareness and bridge this gap and bring a personal and professional life, and to the same meeting point. And what I say, how can I increase the happiness social to the person? If I'm happy and if I'm working towards happiness of my team, I think I'll get good results. So a simple thing which I tell everybody, smile to karo. Sometimes people are so tense. I said, "Itna kar sakte ho." At least smile at work when you look at each other. So it's work in progress and I'm very excited.
We are all work in progress, and
Yeah.
there has been work done in terms of bringing more inclusivity, in terms of female representation, how, but things are not that everything is solved and it's a perfect world out there. And in terms of publishing this book in this journey, we spoke to multiple women leaders. So one of the things that a startup founder told us that this world is also very different. It's a new world. A lot of people know about it. But when she's a single founder and she's like, whenever I go to the meetings, VCs or investors, they almost always expect a male partner to be there. Right? And she's like, sometimes I tell them, just me, I will be here. Right? So that journey is. So some of the questions. So on personal, professional fronts, what is the biggest challenge possibly you have faced, and how did you go about it?
I think so first of all, one has to acknowledge their privilege. I wouldn't say. There are others whose journeys I have heard who have gone through multiple challenges. So acknowledging my privilege and what was that? I would say the biggest challenge has been to be taken serious, to be taken seriously by your male counterparts. Subliminally, there are all these encumbrances which are being forced upon you that you're trying to also deal with them and unshackle yourself from it all the time. You know. So I think that only has been the biggest challenge, right? And that hasn't changed because earlier I thought maybe this is happening because I have just 5 years of experience. Maybe this is happening because I don't have relevant industry experience. Maybe this is happening because I'm not a full manager. And then comes a state where you look back and say, no, it wasn't about age. No, it wasn't about time. No, it wasn't about. I think it's something very inherent or endemic, systemic in the society where they just discounted of you because of your gender. I think that is the one that has been the toughest. But I would again say that there have been others whose life has been really challenging. I thank myself for being in organizations where, tough as it might have been, but I always could see, even if there was one, a woman on top who and drives courage from it and drive inspiration and say, she made it. What makes you think I can't?
In middle of the podcast I was talking with, this is a representation of seeing people like you who have done that. It gives you a lot of courage of this is and Shalu, if taking this conversation forward, what role can building an organization, people organizations have multiple challenges, but if we look at an ideal world wherein people are just kind of measured and qualified on the basis of the work they can do, how do we do that? And how advantageous it will be for organizations to think about, I am a capability first organization. I'm a meritocratic organization which values people who believe on their capabilities.
Yes, and in this book, we have got the stories. Like I have met couple of women who have contributed to this book, and I have not heard about couple of women who have contributed to this book. So this is like it's an interesting, equation with the book that what I was seeing. Although we all of us, all contributors are trying to be the kind of example which we sometimes wanted to have in our life or we had in our life. Either we had that example and we want to pass it on and want to create that example for others, or we have not had and we want to be that example. So to your question on how we can build on the capability and the organizations where capability and merit is the thing rather than gender or other different perspectives. I will start with a very childhood personal story because that's the place from where I value STEM. So when I was very little, my Nanaji used to tell this story ki the whole marriage equation works in our society in 32 miles only. And I was like, 32 मील में शादी क्यों होती है हमेशा? What is this? What is this logic? And that was like his story. And I was like, why are you saying this? And until I think till I turned 16, 17, I did not understand his story. But when I understood it, it was so enlightening for me. And the meaning of his story was because that is the kind of distance, 32-mile distance, a radius, you get people at least with some similarity. Either on your dressing sense or on your food or on your culture or the language you speak. So the girl who is going from her place to a new place will not feel like, I don't belong here. So that I don't belong here feeling is so binding for someone to take a move. Like you were mentioning just that it was not age, it was not role, it was not being the only one in the boardroom. It is that what are the capability lens system is wearing? What is the capability lens the system is wearing? And the system, so for me, capability again falls into 3 categories. One is your attitude, how you approach life, how you approach that role, how you look for take care of yourself and how you take care of people around you, how you take care of the system and the organization. Then second is capabilities which are transferable. Like Preeti was really explaining it very beautifully that, the way we usually brush it under the carpet, that there is always an invisible resume we carry with us. The way we speak, the way we smile, the way we, bring our perspective, that's coming from such an invisible resume because we have got a lens of seeing things. That's where our listening, our communication, our observation, our people management aspect comes into that. For me, is the capability. And third is knowledge. Knowledge is that, okay, if I'm doing a kind of data role, then I need data knowledge. If I'm doing a, artificial intelligence role, then I need machine learning and other languages. So that's knowledge. And when you said how organizations can get into capability driven, organization not as a gender or I think we have to really, strash down all the lenses we are wearing and those turn out to be colored lenses. अब मुझे वो 32 में ही नहीं दिखेगा. अब मेरे लीडर को ऐसे ही दिख सकता है कि because somebody is always smiling, I can't give hard job to her. Or she's smiling. But is it his lens or is it my smile? I don't know until I stash it down, until I talk it out. So that's not for me. It is like really a nuanced subject and more layers we peel off, better we are going to be. And every layer peeling makes us cry. Believe me, it makes us cry.
So, when I got this opportunity, I was so excited. And when I started writing, you've actually done a favor to me because I went back down in the memory lane. And if you see, I started from my school. And Army Public School holds a dear heart because that's the year where the foundation was left. So, the discipline they taught till a date, stays with me. Time management, which really helped me. And that fighting spirit that end तक किन पे खड़े होना है जंग के लिए, that was I never realized till I faced practical issues in my profession, like but that training foundation which I'd forgotten. So I use that now in my mentoring session that your foundation years are at your school and every job you did. And the whole technique, I've spoken about all my jobs and what they bring to the table. And I think the message was, let's not forget, everything. How today we have reached 60 and, sometimes I forget at so many years when I work with youngsters. And I said, so much has happened. And I was telling them, I want, and then people, my favorite question is, how can I help? I'm in a hurry to share my experience with others. And another thing, I'm so glad listening to her because we need role models. I've been very critical of my own gender. That, women do not speak about their successes. I want to speak about every good thing I've done. If I've touched a life, what I've been, and this witch does that. So we are setting an example for so many women to come and talk about their journeys and about the success because role models are needed. And on leadership, one more thing, we get into the VP leader, मतलब कि GM से ऊपर. Even a manager can be your leader. It's your attitude, the work you do. So we need leaders at all stages. So we need a lot of stories, and you're a great storyteller. And we need people to tell stories, young leaders like them, and that's what will remove this gender debate completely.
What is the weirdest skill that you have picked up in your profession?
Yes. It's not weird, but it's a weird when I took it. So I started a career in sales, frontline sales. And I would go and sit across from people who would give me a meeting, and every time they say, let's order tea, I'm like, no, I don't have tea. No, I don't drink tea. This went on for months, and my meetings used to be very short. And then my sales manager, I still remember from Radisson, he went out on a sales call with me, and he saw me doing this twice, and he took me aside, and he said, what are you doing? Well, I don't have tea, man. See, I don't have tea, sir. Honesty is a conversation starter in this country. If somebody is saying if he or she is ordering tea, meaning they're giving you time, they want to spend time with you, and that's your time to talk, to get to know them. So I started tasting all those weird दूध वाला and चढ़ा हुआ चीनी वाला chai. Well, over a period of time, I've developed taste for tea. Today, I'm a tea drinker, but I never forget where I picked it up. That's a
Same for me. I like black coffee. It's like you don't get black coffee everywhere. I used to go to meetings and say, we would have tea, I would have a black coffee. A lot of people would do that. And also, don't ever do that. It's cute. And so yeah.
Yeah, it's also the skill how to just, maybe drink and put it back. And so the person thinks that you're having tea, but you're not having.
That is a weird thing that I need to pick up.
And I am listening to like people who are talking about tea, and I am the one who can drink like 10 cups in a day.
You should read my tea with joy. He's like, I cannot tea. So how about you? What is your one weird trick that you would have picked up?
So I found myself as a person only after I left the urge to fit in and also left the urge to be somewhere. So neither fitting in nor being somewhere. And that I found at the resonance of the way I parent my girls and the way I lead in office. So the weirdest trick that I picked up was by being floss and warm to my girls is that how I can really share whatever I am feeling in contextual manner with their team. So that gave birth to this whole storytelling aspect of me. But that is the trick that I bet that if I would have to explain it to my girls who can accept me as blossom as I am, can I do that same with my team? Can I do that same with my leaders?
Priti, you have a very interesting take on this.
Yeah, so my profession requires me do a lot of confidential work, to have conversation which I can't put in writing or share. So I've got into this habit, even normally, which I've picked up. I've finished a conversation and I say, we haven't spoken. So I've become like a fixed deposit for a lot of people, so they know you can go talk to Priti, it will remain with there, and in the end she'll say, we haven't spoken. So
That sounds so James Bonding.
Yes. I feel like fun. No, I think it's the other thing which says in 5 seconds your mission will self-destruct. It's that mission is possible. It's possible. You heard it in the John Cruise. And then it self-destructs. You cannot go back and trace it back. Yeah. That's how.
If you could have an animal as a company mascot, what would it be?
Oh, I'm biased. I love dogs. And within dogs, there's nothing better than a golden. So my company will have to fit in for the animal that I've chosen. Not the other way around.
We have chosen our favorites an animal in the league.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
what? When you were looking at how do people collaborate and all this? The most collaborative creatures are individually they show up, they give you accidentally step on them, they are done. Collectively they are a force of nature.
You're also about it down. In addition to that, you try and put any impediments in their way. Turn around and then walk the paths that they have decided. So yeah.
And there was one statement that I was reading quite recently about ants is that if ants are of the size of a human, if every ant is like a human size, then the whole ocean will become the land and there will be water around.
They're huge mass, and most of the ants are unknown now. Then one thing is like we need a police wala to tell us, यहाँ से left move, यहाँ पे आगे रास्ता बंद है, you need a GPS. And as you were saying, ants won't need anybody. They just walk, follow the ant in front of them, and they say that be going. And that is what inspired us. If you could swap your job with the employee at your organization, what would?
For me, I would like to swap my job with my CEO, and I would want to really describe something which I admire about him. That he is so passionate about his work, and also he would give the toughest message in an unapologetic, still very empathetic way. So that makes me to really, look forward to the kind of how you can perform at that show. So I want to test myself out there.
I think that's a great skill to have. Most of the time, it's like when we try to make a point, either we are too direct or, we feel that we're not going to hurt somebody. But if you can find the balance, that's a great skill to have. Okay. And if your leadership style was a famous historiography, who would it be?
I don't have some favorite, but I have an answer for the kind of work I'm doing. So for a little while, if I can take aspects of Mother Teresa, because I'm all for teaching empathy, happiness, care. I'm working with people from the community and some. So somewhere she has inspired me. So being a professional, facing the hardship, but if I can get 5% of Mother Teresa, I'll be blessed in my implementation of the work I'm doing in